This is Change Your Mindset Podcast, the podcast that helps change your life by helping change the mindset of the 99% into the 1% mindset. Here's your host, Adrian Gomez.
Welcome back, everybody, to another podcast episode of Change Your Mindset. I'm your host, as always, Adrian Gomez. In this podcast, we're going to be talking about credit cards. So before I start anything, I have an ebook, 12 pages long. I made it myself. It's only $4.99 if you want to purchase it. Totally up to you. I mean, if you do want to support the podcast, I appreciate it. If you don't, no worries. I appreciate you listening to the podcast, but it'll be listed in the description. So for credit cards, for the majority of people, credit cards are bad. And we are told credit cards are bad. For majority of people, that's totally correct. Credit cards, we are told, put you in debt. That's also correct for the majority of people. But the majority of people don't use credit cards against how the credit cards were designed. So credit card companies make a killing off their APR and interest. Majority of credit card companies like in a 20% APR, and that's insane in my opinion. But they make a killing, and people use these credit cards and they use them exactly how the credit card designed them to be used. So they're designed basically to be used. Since in this society, we know that people want to buy, purchase things they can't afford. We live in a credit-based society because, credit people use all the time because they want things they can't afford because they don't have the money. So what they do, they get a credit card and they purchase that item with that credit card because they want it now. That's how society teaches you. You want things now, you can have it now. We're not willing to work for it and not willing to wait for it. We want it now. So how do we get it now? We borrow money and we suffer later by paying the interest. And majority of people obviously don't pay it off all at once. They keep a balance and they keep accumulating money. They keep spending it, and then they keep owing money to the credit card companies, and obviously make the credit card companies more and more wealthy. So, and that's exactly how credit cards are designed, for you to use the credit cards, spend it, keep spending. Then you keep racking up money over and over and over, and you keep owing them money with the interest over and over and over. And it's a endless cycle, unfortunately. People just keep using these credit cards when they don't have the money and they can't afford it. But that's the society we live in. We just buy and purchase things. And credit card companies know this, and they use this weakness against you. And before we continue with this, obviously this is not financial advice or anything like that. I'm not telling you what to buy, what to use, all stuff like that. It's just financial education. So always please do your due diligence, no matter what. So with that being said, credit card companies make a killing. They make the same amount of money because people like this in the world, they love spending, unfortunately. So for what people say, don't get credit cards because they're bad and you owe debt, that's 100% true for a majority of people. But there are a few people that use the credit cards against credit card companies. So basically, if you get a credit card, majority of the time, if it's a regular card, it might be a credit card and might not give you anything back. If it's like a bank card, you might not get any benefits by using that card. But obviously, there are credit cards that every time you use them, you can get cash back. And if there's credit cards as well, that if you use them, you can get, discounts on flights, etc. And obviously, there are credit cards that give you points. So you can redeem it for cash back, for events, products, like I said, flights. They give you benefits. Obviously, with these benefits, these credit card companies use these benefits to make you spend more money. So they see that, we'll give you maybe cash back or, some bonuses for flights or whatever it is. They want to use their credit card. So that's kind of forces you to use their credit card, and that's how they make more money. But the majority of people that are smart and use credit cards against how the credit card companies want them to be used, they're getting all those benefits back. So I do this myself. I have credit cards and I do this myself. And instead of having to balance, and we receiving these rewards as in cashback, bonuses, points, whatever it is. Obviously I don't keep a balance. Every time I purchase, using my card, I pay it all off at once. So usually every Friday I pay off the whole balance on my credit card, and I do that weekly. I mean, you can do that bi-weekly, or you can do it before, the payments is due by the first of the month, or whenever your payments due. Obviously you want to pay it off before your credit card is due. So before you have a balance for the next month. So you want to pay it off no matter what time before your credit card is due. Since then, you are not maintaining a balance and you're not paying any interest. And now you're just receiving all the benefits, as in cashback, points, discounts, whatever it is, from these credit cards. So now you're taking advantage of the credit cards and you're using them towards your benefit. So now this is helping you instead of helping the credit card companies. But majority of people don't do this. They do the complete opposite. They obviously have a balance and they buy things they really don't need and can't afford. So obviously they have to pay interest on it. And that keeps accumulating and compounding. And you just keep owing more and more money. And obviously credit card companies know this, and that's why they make so much money off of you. So I have this in my ebook, a graph of how much people maintain a balance on their credit cards as of 2022. And the balance is $3,540. So the people that are maintaining a balance on the credit cards, obviously these people are making the credit card companies richer, and they're using the credit cards how the credit card companies want you to use them, with a balance on them for you keep paying interest. So in my opinion, the correct way to do it was not have a balance and you redeem all the benefits. But majority of people in America, like I said, they keep a balance on the credit cards and they end up keeping paying interest. So the people who use credit cards and keep a balance on them, or use credit cards to buy things they don't need, I obviously probably wouldn't recommend for people having credit cards at all. But obviously if you're very disciplined and you can maintain your money and you can pay off your pretty much credit card weekly, bi-weekly, or before your payments due, I'd totally recommend these credit cards because you get all these benefits, and obviously this only works if you're disciplined. If you're not, I would not recommend it because you're just gonna dig yourself a grave basically. There's a lot of credit cards out there. Obviously you want to get a credit card that's going to be beneficial for you. So if you're a person that prefers having cash back, you want to focus more on a card that's going to give you cash back on your purchases or whatever it is. If you do a lot of flying, you probably want to get a card that's going to provide a lot of flying benefits. And obviously there are cards that provide both and gives you points, and those points let you obviously use towards cash back, or basically for flights, or they have other discounts as well. It's totally up to you, but I'd recommend basically, in my opinion, for something that actually you can use in daily life. Right now at this moment, we are all suffering with inflation. Like I said, in some places gas prices are high. For sure, food at markets are extremely high right now. Pretty much everything overall is going up. So right now, personally, myself, I have a credit card. I'm not going to say what credit card. I'm not trying to influence you by this credit card or, with this credit card company. That's not what I'm trying to do. So like how I'm fighting right now, personally, inflation with this is, so my two biggest expenses right now, besides mortgage, would be food and gas. In my opinion, obviously, that's majority of people's biggest expenses besides mortgage. So right now I have a card that gives me a large amount percent of cash back when I go to supermarkets. So every time when I'm purchasing, every week when I go to the markets, I'm getting cash back. And obviously that helps in the long run. And the card also gives a percentage of cash back with gas. So that helps every time I fill up my tank, I'm getting cash back. Obviously, usually these are small percentages, but over the long run, they accumulate and they start compounding. And this credit card gives me 1%. I'll give you that because a lot of cards give you 1% on every other transaction. So I make a transaction pretty much on anything, I'm getting at least 1% back. So this card does help with inflation in I mean, overall, I think it helps a lot of people that use this card correctly. But during times like these, it's a good inflation hedge, in my opinion, because you're getting money back. Since everything is so high, you're getting a percentage of your money back, and it helps you out in the long run. Like I said, it's not going to be a lot of money, but it does help you, and it does help fight inflation and put some money back into your pocket if you use credit cards the correct way and pay them off before the due date. So we know there's a lot of credit cards out there, and nowadays a lot of retail stores have credit cards, and their credit cards are outrageous because those credit cards have a huge high interest rate. Majority of the time it's in around the mid 20s, which I think is insane. But hey, people actually apply for these credit cards. Like I said, I've seen it so often, and like I said before, I've done retail in my early years. Retail is not the funnest, that's for sure. But like I've seen it firsthand. People apply for these cards, and I see how these stores get these people buy these cards or apply for these cards, even though I think these credit cards are the worst credit cards you can ever get because they apply no benefit for you. And I'll explain why. So when people purchase whatever, like clothing, whatever it may be, or products, anything that store provides, and they have their credit card, they usually go to the register and they ask and they make the purchase. And obviously, I'm pretty sure you've dealt with this before. The person at the register will say, would you like to apply for our credit card? And you'll save, maybe it's like $10 or 10% off your total order, maybe $15, whatever it may be. They'll give you incentive amount off to apply for the credit card. A majority of people I've seen, since they want, a discount, they want to save money, they will apply for that credit card. Even though their interest rates is insanely high, they will apply for that credit card. And just because they hear, oh, you can save money or a discount, they apply for it, unfortunately. And sometimes they get approved and sometimes they don't. So since I knew how retail worked and everything, the people at the register, they have to offer you credit cards because they're usually judged on how many credit cards they get people to apply for and how many people that actually get the credit cards. They're actually the cashiers are actually scored and based off of that. So they're incentivized and kind of forced to, because of the job, to offer those credit cards for you or to you. So they have no choice, and majority of people are going to apply because they're not really financially educated. And another thing about that is, if you get that credit card for whatever store it is, I mean, majority of the time it's going to be a retail store, clothing, or anything like that. Besides the high interest of that credit card, it is also bad because you are now trapped by that retail store because you have their card. So now you're incentivized to keep shopping over and over at their store. So now you're just a victim to that store because you have the credit card, and now you're going to keep giving that retail store business because you have the credit card, and maybe you'll get some type of benefit, majority of the time not, or maybe you get like a small percentage off, or like $5 off every time you use that credit card, or like 5%. I think that's how Target's is. And you have to shop there every time because that's where you have the credit card, and that's where you get your maybe discount, whatever it is. So now these retail stores, I mean, business-wise is genius, but they have a customer that's going to keep shopping there over and over and over because you basically have their credit card. So in my opinion, they have a forever customer now. And that's basically those credit cards, which I think, in my personal opinion, are the worst ones. Like I said, I probably prefer the credit cards that actually you can use pretty much everywhere, whether it's Visa, MasterCard, American Express, whatever it is. I mean, those credit cards are usually better because you can use them anywhere. And obviously, majority of the time, you get benefits. And even when you apply for those cards, usually you get like a bonus, maybe $200 for a sign-up bonus. Or if you're approved, $300, whatever it may be. Maybe you have to spend so much within a year or 6 months, 4 months, whatever it is. You're also getting some money on top of that with these cards, which are way better than these retail credit cards in my opinion, but that's just me. So for my credit cards, I use my credit card literally for every single purchase. Obviously, I want to get, the cash back and points, whatever it is. So I use my credit card for everything, but that's not the only reason I use my credit card for everything. So another reason why is for protection. Especially nowadays, there's so much theft, identity theft, there's so much going on. You need protection because people are getting desperate. I mean, especially like I said, during this economic times, and like I think things will get worse this year, people are gonna get more desperate. So, for example, I give this in the book as well. Say if you go to a restaurant, right? Majority of people use their debit cards when you purchase and you get the receipt, you pay for your dinner, whatever it is, you use a debit card. So, for example, obviously when you use a debit card, usually they get the debit card, they take your debit card, obviously they use that debit card at the register. But like I said, what if you get a dishonest waiter or waitress who's struggling with money, or maybe they're just a bad person overall, and they get your debit card, they take a picture of the back, and obviously that provides all the information you need to, use that debit card anywhere, basically. So now that person has on their phone a picture of your card, and now they can use that picture and they can go online shopping, because pretty much all you need for online shopping nowadays is the credit card number and the security code, basically. So you'll get a lot of reports that your card is being used, and the worst thing about that is that's your personal money, because that debit card is linked to your personal account. So they'll be using all your money, and in that case, banks, it's hard to get your money back because that's your personal money. It's not the bank's money. So majority of the time, banks won't give you that money back. Maybe in some cases they will, but since it's your personal money from your personal account, majority of the time you don't have much protection because it's your money, not the bank's money. And there are people that use cash during those situations, obviously, because cash, I mean, you can't really use cash online or anything like that. You can't take pictures of it. So, I mean, cash is a great way to fight that as well. I mean, because they have to give you your change back no matter what. So, I mean, cash is a good way to use, obviously, when you're out and about. But a lot of people don't even use cash anymore. Usually use their phone or cards. So, and people usually don't like carrying cash around either. So that's basically those two scenarios. So, for example, when you use a credit card, you have a lot of protection with the credit card companies, which is obviously a good benefit, because say you use the same thing instead of the debit card, you're using your credit card now. And obviously you're using it the right way, you're paying it off, right? So you're using your credit card, and obviously you're giving your credit card to the waiter, waitress, and to say they do the same exact thing for that scenario we gave. With the debit card, they take a picture of it, they do your transaction, give you back your card, you're on your way. So obviously next thing you know, you start seeing charges on your credit card. And obviously, it's not you, because you see these maybe Louis Vuitton or Gucci store, maybe whatever they're purchasing from wherever, you see these transactions. So in this case, you can dispute those transactions because it's a credit card. So obviously you're going to call your credit card companies like, hey, I didn't make these purchases. Majority of the time, these credit card companies are going to cover you. And obviously they're going to reimburse you that money back into your account, because that's the credit card company's money. It's not your personal money, because when you use a credit card, you're using those credit card companies' money, not your personal money. So you pretty much like borrowing money in a way. So in that case, the credit card companies are losing money, not you. As in a debit card, you're losing your personal money because that's linked to your personal bank account. And with credit cards, those are linked with the credit card company's bank accounts. So obviously that's a great protection to use in credit cards. And that's why I use my credit card literally for everything. So it's a great protection. Obviously, having a business, I want to protect my assets as best as I can. And obviously, I have multiple credit cards. Obviously, some are personal, and then obviously some of my cards are for business. So that's a great hedge against, theft and stuff like and protection. So another way you can use credit cards, like I said, credit card companies are not your money. Like I said, you're basically borrowing money. For example, you can use it as a leverage. So, for example, let's just say you go to a retail store, you go to the clearance liquidation area. Obviously, it's going to be on discount. Let's just say, for example, the t-shirt's $10. Clearance does not include tax. Out the door, $10. Use your credit card. So now you owe $10 on your credit card. So let's say you're obviously using your credit card to make you money, right? So in this case, that t-shirt's not going to be for you. You're getting that t-shirt to sell it, to make a profit. So when you do sell it, let's just say it's a good t-shirt, sells for $30, and it sells within 2 weeks. So obviously that's within your 1 month range of, owing money on your credit card and paying the interest. And we're not including tax, we're just making it simple math. So you made $20 profit, right? So now, since you sold it within 2 weeks, you can pay back the credit card. It's $10, obviously, since you borrowed that money. And now you made $20 profit. And that $20 goes straight to you. So you basically use the credit card's money, company's money, to make you money, basically. So you didn't use your personal money. You didn't use $10 from your personal bank account, from your personal wallet to make you money. You borrowed money, in a way, from the credit card, and they obviously bought that for $10 and you sold it for $30. You paid back the money within the month, so now you're not paying interest, and you made $20. So you basically borrowed money and that made you money. That's one way you can use a credit card as leverage. Obviously, that's a small example. You can use it for larger purchases or etc. Or maybe you buy something that in the long run is going to keep making you money, and you might not be able to pay it off within that month, but within a couple of months, with whatever you bought that's going to keep producing you money, you can keep paying off that obviously credit card and the interest. And once it's paid off from whatever you bought, you can now, once it's paid off, since whatever you bought is going to keep making you money over and over, that machine or product, whatever it was, is going to keep making you money since you already paid off the credit card balance. And to however long you have, it's going to keep making you money over and over. So now you have cash flow coming into your wallet with that. That's one way you would use a credit card as leverage. But like I said, majority of people don't use credit cards like that. They use credit cards to buy things for them, for their personal use. And obviously that's not making you money. So that's obviously the way credit cards want you to use them, for you to buy things for yourself. But if you're using credit cards to make you money, that's the total opposite. And obviously they don't want you to know that, but that's the small majority of people. Of course, they know people will use credit cards like this by paying it off every month, but that's a very small majority of people, and they do realize this. So they're okay taking that risk because they know the majority of people will maintain a balance and will keep using their credit cards on useless things and keep paying their interest. So because they know the majority of people aren't financially educated. So that's how that system works in their favor. But since you're listening to this podcast and this episode, now you're obviously more financially educated, and now you can obviously turn the tables on the credit card companies. Like the title implies, credit cards are bad, aren't they? Because majority of people, credit cards are very bad because they use credit cards how the credit card companies want you to use them, and they're not financially educated. But credit cards also can be very good if you use them properly and obviously very disciplined. You can make money with credit cards, or you can receive, cash back, points, all that stuff as well with all your purchases. So might as well use your credit card if you're going to buy things and get some money back, right? And like I said, for protection as well. There's a lot of ways credit cards are actually really good if you use them the right way. And like I said, if you're financially educated. And I'm pretty sure, hope this podcast keeps you very financially educated with credit cards, because the majority of people will tell you credit cards are bad, don't get credit cards, etc., etc., etc. For the majority of people, they're right. They're very bad for you because people use credit cards very badly. But for the majority of people that are very financially educated, credit cards are very good. They're a very great thing as long as you pay off the interest every month and you don't owe anything. But like there's also credit cards that charge annual fee. There are cards that don't charge annual fee. But if you usually get a card that does charge annual fee, you want to calculate and make sure that the benefits in all the money you're receiving back or points outweighs the annual fee. So let's say, for example, if the annual fee is, let's say, for basic math, $100 for the annual fee, and obviously you're not paying any interest because you're paying monthly, so you're just paying $100 the whole year for that card. And for basic math, let's like say you're getting, by using the card all the time, you're getting $200. Simple math we're going to use. You're making $100, right? So that $200 you're getting back as, let's just say, cash back, that's paying for your annual fee. So you get an extra $100 back into your pocket. So obviously that outweighs the annual fee. So that one way you would want to calculate and make sure that the annual fee is actually worth it. If it's not worth it, if you hardly use the card and the annual fee actually costs more than how much you're using the card and getting the benefits from, you probably don't want a card like that. Or maybe you just want to get a card that has no annual fee and don't even worry about it. But that's totally up to you. Like I said, this is not financial advice. I'm not telling you what cards to get, what credit cards you should have, etc., etc., etc. That's totally up to you. You got to figure out what card's good for you and what works best for your lifestyle. I personally can't answer that because I don't know your lifestyle. So that's totally up to you. So I hope this podcast was very valuable and help you actually change your mind to actually use a credit card because they can be very beneficial for you. So hopefully this podcast did help you. If you'd like to share this podcast with other people that actually use credit cards the way credit cards want you to use them, I mean, you should send it to them and maybe they'll realize, like, maybe I shouldn't be using the credit card this way. Maybe I should be using the credit card against the credit card companies. So maybe you can financially educate other people as well and share with them. And for example, if you have a credit card already and you have a balance, you want to get rid of that balance first, because I think that would be priority, because a lot of people have balances on credit cards and they just leave them on there and keep paying the interest or keep using those cards. So obviously you want to pay off those credit cards as fast as you can, because it's going to be very tough economic times ahead. So you don't want any balance or any interest that you have to owe. As long as you use a credit card like a debit card and pay off that credit card every month, you're going to be fine and you're going to reap a lot of benefits. So I appreciate you listening to podcasts, and I thank you as always. As I always say, change your mindset to change your life. Thank you again and take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Change Your Mindset podcast. Be sure to tune in every week for a new episode. As always, change your mindset to change your life.